Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have y'all here in with us on Catfish Talk here on Tuesday night. I'm one of the hosts, Stacy Gasson, and this is my buddy over here, Joey Kirby. Hey, good to have y'all in. I want you to do this for me tonight as we're getting started. Um, I need, if y'all would, to go in there. Make sure if you're on Facebook, share this right here. Tag a couple people. Share it with some friends. We want to be able to see if we can't reach 250 viewers tonight. And the only way we can make that happen is with you helping. What you got there, Joey?
I don't want anybody to be adjusting on their contrast or nothing on their screens. My eyes are still brown. I had a colonoscopy today, and got pretty empty last night and this morning. So I told you the other night that my eyes may not be brown anymore next time you see me. But other than that, I'll make a quick announcement real quick on Will Timmy. It's a poor boy running a tournament. For all of y'all that's getting your tournaments lined up now, it'll be out of Evansville, Indiana, August the 29th. 3 people a boat, 3 fish, and the entry fee is going to be $50 a boat. Everything they bring in, I go to a family there in need. They've got an individual with cancer, and everything that they bring in will go to that family. They'll have silent auctions and everything. So anybody needs any information on that, send me a message or Stacy or something, and we'll get information to you on that.
I see we got several people in the chat with us tonight. Jeff Mayfield is wondering if he was going to even make it. I think he was hung up. Glenn Sue. Hey, I know Drew Nixon. He's here with us somewhere. He's a guy that's a neighbor of mine, not far, lives far down from me. Chad Walk, and we got Big C Catfishing in with us, and Cody Vanover. We got Aaron Churchwell. Hey, guys, Aaron Churchwell is going to be one of our guests here next week. So I want you to go ahead and put that down. We'll have him in as a guest next week. And we're going to cover looking for catfish on new places and what to look for and just how to search these things out. I also want to make mention of this before we get started into the program. We got Doc Lang in the house with us tonight. And Doc is a great guy. He's got a lot of knowledge about catfishing. He will be at the Catfish Conference. The Catfish Conference is this weekend. I want y'all to go by and see him. He's going to do a seminar Friday afternoon called Doc Talk. And this guy is full of a lot of knowledge, got a lot of wisdom in catfishing. That will be at 4 p.m. our Friday afternoon. So when you walk in the door of the Catfish Conference, right after you get inside the door, just go to asking people where Doc's at. I promise you, people that know who Doc is.
Mm-hmm. It'd be worth your while. Pick his brain. He's full of knowledge.
He's full of it. Guys, if you just entered the chat, go ahead and put the SDC down in the chat. We're going to be giving some giveaways according to that code right there. And we're going to go ahead and give one away right now, and then we're going to get into talking some catfish, because this is what these guys have tuned in to do, is talk catfishing. We're going to give away, the last couple of weeks, we give away a Snag stick. You can find these on the Ninja Anchor Facebook page or at toughtackle.net. So ever who wins this right here, so if y'all in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and give you about 10 more seconds. Put that keyword SDC in, and there it is. It is a great product. I'm looking forward to you. Well, I ain't going to say I'm looking forward to using. I don't want to get hung up.
True. Yeah.
So if you're in chat, put your code SDC in, and we're fixing to look and see who's going to be a winner on this right here. Joey, how about give me a number here between 1 and 5? Let's do this right here.
Well, since I just had my colonoscopy, number 2.
Number 2. Hey, I'm going to go right here. As a guy that's tuned in with us tonight, he is on YouTube. His name is Stan Brown. Stan Brown, I want you to contact. Let me pull this up for you. Stan Brown, he's watching us on YouTube. He is the winner of this right here. Contact here. You can contact Doug Bond. Tell him that you are the winner of the Snag stick. I'm going to send also a message to
Congratulations.
him.
Congratulations, Doug. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Stan Brown. All right, guys, let's get in here. Let's get to talking some catfishing. We got 152 viewers in on Facebook, and I don't know how many is on YouTube, but I know we got a lot. Make sure our goal is to try to reach 250 tonight. We're fixing to get into talking some catfish because this is what you have tuned in to do. Steve Stacy asked a question a couple weeks ago, ways to approach cold water fishing in the wintertime versus the summer or versus the spring or the summer. And I know a lot of times, man, we're making transitions into different water temperature and different seasons. And I believe there's different patterns for this. The longer that I've fished, I have discovered these fish, and I say this over and over again, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the one thing that I have really noticed in the last couple of years is these fish are moving. They moving from one location to a next, and I think this is why some fishermen are successful at certain times of the year, and they don't do so good at other times of the year. It's because they continue to focus on them same areas 12 months of the year. They don't never move to a different spot. They continue to fish 40 foot of water year around or go to that same old hole. And they're probably successful at one time of the year, because I know that I used to be this way. And a certain time of the year we wouldn't catch much, and we just quit fishing and wait till another season come by. But these fish are moving. Now, I am going to say this before I get into this very much. One of the things that I can talk to you about is about fishing, but I cannot express enough on when it comes to wintertime. Now, I'm limited on this, and the reason I'm fixing to tell you that I'm limited on this, we live in the South. Joey's a little bit further up north. It gets cooler up there where he's at. I don't know what your temperature is today, Joey, but today here it was 70-something degrees. I live
It wasn't that.
What is it, Joey?
It was not that. It was really, really cold for me today.
And what happens is, I'll listen to somebody and they was talking about fishing for flatheads, and they don't fish for them in the wintertime. And I was like, well, we fish for them year round. But I did come to find out that these guys were in more up north where the water temperature does get a lot colder. I hardly ever see below 50 degrees water temperature. And I fish for flatheads year round. So when I say that I'm talking about wintertime catfishing, I am limited in my knowledge about this because of my location. But still, I do different in the wintertime where I'm at than I do in the spring or the summer when I begin to go fishing. Water temperature here now is probably about, I went a week or so ago, it was 155 degrees. It was 55 point something. I eased up into 56 something degrees. And what I've done is I started looking for these fish. One of the key things in the wintertime is these fish are cold-blooded animals, fish. And that cold water does have an effect upon it. They begin to be a little slow down in what they're doing. I've noticed catching some dragging baits in the wintertime that even when they would bite, I have just eased by them and they grab the bait and the pole just start to ease over it, not slam down. And when you really hold to him, and I'm talking about catching in something, 25, 30, 40 pounds, and him just sit there and be sort of real sluggish. So it does have an effect upon them. One of the things that I would do when approaching wintertime catfishing, and this is some stuff that I've done. This is some stuff that I've noticed that when you come into the wintertime, and down here in the South, I can get shad onto it. Gets really, really cold. And we always get shad. I'd wait till about 9 or 10 o'clock to even go fishing if I was trying to get fresh bait. We would go back, the sun come up, go back in the shallow waters and get these shad. Now, we had Michael Smith on here today, and he was sharing some stuff about shallow water catfishing. And just by hanging out with some great fishermen, I've also noticed that it's changed my tactics when it comes to wintertime catfish. And once that sun comes up, I may move up in to some shallower water. I want to look for something flat. Now, Michael Smith fished in stuff that was 1, 2, or 3 foot deep. I still like it around 10 foot or, somewhere in that neighborhood is what I'm looking for. But that sun coming up on a clear day, on a cold day, is going to warm up that water where it is shallower at before it does in the deep water. Does that make some sense there, Joey?
It does. It makes perfectly good sense.
And where that bait fish is at, them catfish is not going to be far from that. It's just like me and you around dinner time. I ain't gonna catch us far away from the dinner table. That's what we're gonna be looking for. So I would look at when I started out on wintertime catfishing, I would be looking, if it was first thing in the morning, I would probably go and start to look into some deeper water. And when I say deep, I'm pretty comfortable in deep water, 40 to 70 foot deep. I like that range. I really like to look for that. But as the day heats up, you may want to move further back or further up on that ridge where it shallows up some and begin to move up in there. We have discovered, or I've noticed this, especially with the electronics we have today, that we in a place fishing and you can see fish up under you. You see them on your graph, you see them big arches, and you fish on this contour for a couple hours and you're seeing fish, and all of a sudden, when the sun comes up and things change, them fish, they gone, they leave. And I think sometimes we get confused and say, well, something's wrong with my electronics. But what happens, I think, is that heated up, them fish moved up into that water column and moved up on that ledge and moved up into shallow water. A lot of times, if you just move over some, you're going to find out them fish are still there. They just moved up into a little bit shallow water because that water's warming up and that bait moves up as that water moves up. Joe, you got anything you want to add to this?
Here, I think the last time I went out here was about 2 weeks ago, and I forget so much, but I'm almost sure our water temperature was in the probably upper 30s, usually, a lot of people, you and I talk about the moving in shallow waters and stuff in the winter. And the more that I think about it, here around home, usually, unless you're just having a off winter, usually the winter time here around here, the water's blowed up like it is now. So I continue when it's like that to try to find the current breaks, especially in the wintertime, current breaks. And always a good deep ledge or something that it's almost a must for me to try to find is some structure, especially in our stretches here. But I could see, there's so many different angles of how you can look at it. Beings like you can drag all year long. Around here in the wintertime, dragging's out of the question because it's always at least probably 2 mile an hour current, especially during these winter months. So and that was our question a few weeks ago was thinking outside the box and trying that shallow water. But the more I think about it, it's really hard to do in our area because the water normally is just blowed up this time of year, and unless you just creep off in a field or something from where the water's blowed out, you're not going to get out of the current. So The water temperature here, like I said, is about 30. Or when I went the other day, it was about 39 degrees. So,
and I want to add something to this, Joey, because like I said, we get back to where it's different where I'm at and you at. And, I've heard people talk about after it gets in the wintertime, they will quit dragging. What I drag bait sometimes all year because right now we at 55 degrees.
yeah.
And so I will still drag baits. But I've noticed in the past, and we very seldom have this here, when the water temperature, I don't know why this is, and it may just be something in my head, but it seems like when I go below that 48 to 50 degrees, things totally change for me.
Yeah.
And when I
The
get
metabolism.
down, yeah,
Metabolism is about like bass or anything. You got to slow. But the reason I say so much about our dragon here is not so much that I would not do it. It's just it's even hard. You only have special certain times of the year around here to really where you can drag proper because there's usually, unless it's July or August, the dog days of summer, you don't have much still water here, and if there's much current and stuff, it's hard to drag with, anything over, to me, 4 or 5 ounces or so of weight to keep your stuff on the bottom, so that's kind of why I compare that all the time.
And Joey, and people ask me about dragging, and I don't want to get too much into this, but the current what sort of dictates what I do.
Right.
But I will say this, getting back to the wintertime catfishing, here when we have had cold winters, and it still ain't nothing like that y'all did with up there in North Kentucky, but when that water temperature drops below 50 or 48 degrees, somehow or another it's 48 just seems to be a key thing for me, that I just lock down. In other words, what I do is I start looking for some fish. I will actually anchor up, throw out, and sit for, I ain't talking about an hour. I will sit for hours. I mean, for a couple of hours on one spot. And I've noticed, and I've caught flatheads like in that water temperature, but man, when they bite, the rod tip just eases and it just, and you liable to have to sit there, man, and just wait for him for seem like 15, 20 minutes before he ever does anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, if y'all out there fishing and the water temperature is below 48, one of the key factors is the presentation. Slow it down. These fish are getting lethargic. They're just slowing down in what they're doing. They ain't moving as fast. They're just standing. They're just sitting around there. So you're going to have to slow it down when you're doing this. Now, I want to share one other thing when you're looking for some fish, and probably Aaron may touch on this next week, because one of the things that I do is when I'm looking for them, I've got a Lake Master card in my electronics, and I also have a Navionics card. Guys, if you don't have a Navionics card, you can get a Navionics app to go on your phone. And you can get this app to go on your phone, and you can pull up that reservoir that you're on, and you can begin to look at it. You can begin to search it out and study it. Now, one of the things that I do is I'm looking for key things. I'll sit here at my house on my computer before I ever go somewhere, and I'll pull up Navionics. I pull it up right here on your home computer, on your phone. The home computer is going to be better with a bigger screen. And one of the key things I like to look for is I like to look for where there's a place that has a lot of variety. And when I share a lot of variety, I'm looking for something that may have some deep water, and not far off of that is going to come up on a ledge into a shallow water, and maybe a creek feeding into it or something. You should be able to get around there and start looking. Them fish is going to be somewhere where there's a variety that has been offered to them. If there's some deep water and there's some stuff there that's 20 foot deep, them fish should be somewhere in that neighborhood and just get out and start looking for them. But that's a good idea. Is when you're starting to look for these things like this. Now, Joy, you brought up something a while ago about structure. One of the things I've noticed, and I don't know just what this does. I don't know if the structure, especially when trees are suspended out of the water in the wintertime, if that tree is able to soak up some heat or something, I don't know. But it seems like, man, them fish is going to hug in around stuff. The colder it gets, they just sort of just go to piling up in there, and they starting to get around some stuff. And the presentation just got to be slowed down in what you're doing. These fish are there, and they're going to eat. They just may not be eating as fast as what you've been used to.
Yep. Just look at the where you crappie fish this time of year. They're loaded on them big old trees, so it makes sense. That's where them big old catfish to me is going to be. And somebody asked, avid catfisherman, I think, usually I don't start dragging about in the 56 degrees or so water temperature is about the time that I'll stop dragging it. But yeah, Stacy, like, the reason I always choose that structure is because, and a good tip that I can tell everybody what I do, the areas that I fish a lot, when I'm out there dragging, drifting, pulling baits, doing stuff all summer long, I've still got the mind frame of to mark those good ledges that's got that structure on it for winter times, because that'll save you a whole lot of looking in the winter time. When you're out there in the summertime, all you're doing most of the time is moving around, like I say, drifting, dragging baits and all that. So when you're doing that, mark your spots for the winter time. That way, when wintertime fishing comes, you're going to save a whole lot of time by going out there and just going to a ramp to go out and find you a spot to fish. Because anybody that fishes a lot knows once you get your nose into that fish finder and start looking, before you know it, you could be looking for 3 hours and not even throw a bait out. So that's you can take it for what it's worth. I think usually when I go somewhere, if I'm fishing local and I know pretty much where I'm going to go fish at instead of starting out looking.
Yeah, and that's a good idea, because we've been dragging baits, and when you're dragging baits, you're covering a lot of territory. And I want to tell you, if you would just pay attention to your electronics, you're going to start to see a lot of stuff that you did not even know that was there. And it just happened to be that you run right over the top of it. And and when you hit it, mark that right there and say, man, there's a treetop right out here in the middle of this river right here. Mark that thing. Put that blue dot on there.
In the wintertime, it's probably going to be loaded full of crappie or bait fish or something. It's really a no-brainer.
Let's do something else. Let's go back here to the chat just a minute. We got old James Arwood from Hooker Terminal Tackle in with us tonight. Yeah. Guys, I know there's a lot of people in chat. I know been up here around, we got around 180 to 200 views in on Facebook. I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you tuning in with us. And we want to give something else away here tonight. Dale's Tackle is wanting to give away a $50 gift certificate. And Joey, I'm going to need your help again. Stan Brown won the first one, and he was on YouTube when he won that. This is our first night, guys, doing YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So if we're coming in loud and clear on both ends, guys, y'all give us a thumbs up, put okay out there beside it. We fish and give something away. You want to make sure you put SDC in the comment box. Joey, I'm on $50 gift certificate to Dale's Tackle. You can contact him when we give this away, and I reckon you can go on there and choose what you want to choose from. You can find Dale on Facebook and go from there. Give me a number, Joey.
Stacy,
let's go 1 through 7.
Stacy, before I do this, When I was on Catfish Weekly's first show, Dale told me 50 times to give away a gift card. KK still brings it up to me now that I gave away like $600 worth of stuff on there. So we should have probably got the okay from KK before we did this, but I'm gonna trust that you did, Stacy. And 1 and 7, let's go with lucky number 7. That'll make you work for it a little bit.
All right, let's see what we got here.
I seen big blue hunters on here.
Big blue hunters in the house, ain't he?
Dustin's on. John Baker. We got Jason Hamilton. Roger Dement. It's just loaded. Some fella on here just put there was like 60 on YouTube. Big Doug Walker. Big D.
They in there tonight, ain't they?
Jason, Jackie Gordon, Lisa and Terry. Good to see y'all. We'll be seeing y'all in a few weeks. Good Lord willing.
Give me just a second. Keep talking to him, right, Joey.
Tim Casey, Joey and Tina, Justin Newton, Bruce Church. Boy, they're all putting the SDC down. That's good. That's what we want to see.
That's what we want right there.
Yeah.
You said, what did you say, number 7?
Number 7.
That's Randy, what I thought you said. Just hang on.
Randy Chitwood. How are you, buddy? Jason Moses, Ricky Smith. They're just...
we got Ricky Smith in the house with us tonight.
Ricky Smith.
Ricky Smith is a friend of mine from around here in Georgiana. And he hangs out with us now. I talk to him about every day. He's the one that called me and told me when I went on right there that I had put fall and supper time fishing. Hey, avid fisherman. He is also on YouTube tonight.
Is he?
Avid fisherman is in here. Avid fisherman, get in contact with Dale's Tackle and tell him that you won the $50 gift certificate tonight. You should be able to contact him on Facebook or Dale's Tackle or up under Dale Dunaway.
I see my buddy Jeff Shock on tonight. Your buddy just hollered out pole bender, Stacy.
Hey, that's old Mike Presley. He done tuned in with me, hadn't he?
We got them all in the house tonight.
Oh man, we got. I think Big C Catfishing said we had 52 watching us over there on YouTube tonight.
Yep, that's what I seen over there.
About 200 here. Hey, we got a good crowd tuned in with us.
Hey, it's not bad, is it?
No, and they don't need to leave us yet because we're going to give away a Cat Max reel in just a little bit. So y'all stay tuned in with us. I'm going to get back to one other thing here, and I know we've been on the air here about 30 minutes, so we're going to go through. Hey, we got Lisa Haraway in. She's Mississippi. Hey, I'm going to call her the Mississippi Queen.
Mississippi Queen. They sure put it on us, didn't they?
Hey, they wore us out, man. Hey, Joey, remember we pulled up there to the weigh-in. I called Dale and I said, Dale, what's the weight that's going to get you in the top 5 or whatever? He called. He said, what y'all doing? I said, I'm just throwing mine back in.
Hey, Stacy, I got a good idea. I think they won a bunch that tournament, and I think they've even won a tournament after that. Since we're coming down to their area here in the next month or so, they ought to treat us to supper one night. It'd be
you would think
nice
that they would do that, wouldn't you?
I would think.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Think that.
Hey, if I won all that and they come to my area, I would sure treat them to a hamburger or something, pizza.
Oh man. Well, listen, we'll get back to something else here. And I'll get back to talking about catfishing. Guys, do this for me. We over 200, and let's hold it there to the night's over with. Do this for me. Tag a couple more people. Keep them in on this chat. We got about 10 or 15 more minutes, and we're going to try to wind this right here up. I'm going to tell y'all. I'm going to share this right here. And we done shared about the presentation. I do want to share one more thing about presentation, because when I'm fishing on Wheeler and Wilson, which is in North Alabama, uh, I've been up there in December, January, February, and I've drug baits the whole time that I'm there. Joey's fished with me. I drag baits there in the wintertime. This is one thing that I do when I am there, and I'm pretty adamant about this. I drag baits in the wintertime at point 3 miles an hour. I mean, my boat is just creeping along. At the very, that's about my max. I mean, I don't even, if I look around, it says point 0.4 or point 0.5, I'm like, slow it down, slow it down. We're moving way too fast. So presentation has a lot to do with it when this cold water comes in. As the water heats up, I will bump it up, because I'm trying to, if we moving from winter to spring, I'm going to bump my speed up. I'm going to go from 0.2 to 0.3 up at a 0.4, 0.5. And that's what I'm going to drag. And the fastest I ever moved is 0.7. If I get above that, I go to panicking and throwing drift socks out, and turning the trolling motor around backwards, trying to slow everything I've got down. And that's just a key to me. I know some people drag baits at over 1 mile an hour, but 0.7 is about my max.
Mine too.
And I'm doing everything I can not to go above it. And 0.2 and 0.3 in the wintertime just creeping along.
Keeps it in that strike zone longer.
Yeah,
and I don't think them fish in the winter is real chasative anyway. Like they're, I compare it to all fishing, bluegill, crappie, or crappie's a little exception in the winter, but bass, everything's metabolism is they're not doing much at all. But just hanging out. So the slower you pull it through there, the longer it's going to be, close to them. So
I'm going to throw something else in, and this is sort of off this subject right here, but it ain't going to charge nothing for it. You ever been fishing and you catch these fish and you pull them up and they got mud on them? You ever seen that, Joey?
All the time.
You see them, and sometimes, certain time of the year, you will catch a fish and he's just pretty and blue, but sometimes you will catch a fish and he's dirty. He's got mud on him. You can actually take your hand and rub the mud off. He's got a stain on him.
Right.
Them fish are buried down. I think they're buried in that mud. A lot of times you don't see these fish like you do on your electronics, like you do when they suspend it off the bottom a little bit. They just stuck there. One other thing that I've noticed about this, sometimes the change in weather, it can be summertime, wintertime, or whatever. The pressure, I don't know if the pressure comes up and the barometric pressure rises and causes these fish to go down to the bottom. I don't know if it's just the change in the temperature, but I have noticed when you catch fish that's in the mud, it seems that they bite slower, that the bite's a little bit slower. And so anytime that you see this, I don't care what time of the year it is, I would slow it down. And one more thing that I would do, if I was anchored fishing, I would shorten my leader up to something no more than 18 inches, because I'm trying to get my bait a little bit closer to the bottom, so it's not, 1.5 feet or 2 foot up off the bottom. Because I do know that fish is on the bottom, because we've seen that mud on him. And if you're anchored, just sit longer when you happen to catch one, because most times they slow about biting when they're like that. But if you catch one and it looks like that, just slow everything you got down, shorten your leaders up, and get them down a little bit closer to the bottom. Now,
another something to throw on that real quick, Stacy, is when them fish are like that, a lot of times, a lot of people that rely 100% on that fish finder marking them fish, when they're hunkered down in the mud like that, a lot of times you might just see just a small little knot or something on the bottom, and that's probably fish. So a lot of times when you do notice them like that, don't give up on the structure or ledges or something because you don't see them big arches sitting there, because a lot of times them fish are hunkered down in that mud, and unless you got your fish finder dialed in perfect and got that bottom pulled up and your color line and everything perfect, you're not really going to pay attention to that little bitty knot down there. But that's a lot of times just because you don't see them fish hunkered up in that structure or on that ledge or something, don't give it 30 minutes or an hour or something and throw them out there, because a lot of times they're hunkered down in that mud.
At times like that, Joey, I said we got to go back to our instincts of what we knew we used to do, because there's sometimes you look and you can't find these fish on the depth finder, but yet you stop and you go fishing, you go to catching them. Them fish, man, they hunkered down. They pulling tight the structure, and you won't be able to see them. I'm going to share that. I'm going to share one of the top secrets, and it probably ain't a secret. And somebody asked about wintertime Steve Stacy had asked us to cover this subject. If you own a reservoir and you're fishing in the wintertime, you may want to get your pencil and pen and get ready to write this little key thing down. Because I'm going to tell you, it'll hold fish more than anything else. Look for some kind, if that reservoir that you're fishing on, and if you've never done this, look for some kind of hot water discharge. It's like a magnet.
Like a jacuzzi for them.
I'm telling you. And down here where we're at, we have nuclear plants, we have power plants. Down here in Mobile, I'm going to share this. We was in Mobile 2 years ago, and there is an Alabama power plant there. And it has a discharge which got a little creek that runs out. I bet that thing is a half a mile up to the plant. And when we come around through there, the water temperature was down there below 50 degrees. And when we got to where that mouth of that thing was coming out, it jumped up there in the mid 50s, and almost, I want to think it bumped up there close to the upper 50s. And shad was galore. The water temperature, that it was hot water that was coming from that discharge. And all them shad was just ganged up in there. So if you've got some kind of plant, nuclear plant, power plant, and it has a hot water discharge on it, guys, I promise you, turn your electronics on. It's going to have got something going to let you know the temperature. And when you get around that thing, you're going to see that temperature jump up, and you're going to find that there is going to be a lot of bait fish that's just up in congregated around there. I'd anchor down and just sit there all day long. So there's a possibility you're going to catch some good fish.
That's my style.
That's your style, ain't it?
That's it right there. I'm easy like Sunday morning.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to share one more thought, and we're going to try to wind it up. And I know we touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to close with this. If you've got some fairly good electronics, and if you get accustomed to using them, and you done got comfortable with them, it took me a while to get comfortable. When you're looking for these fish, you're going to have these drop-offs that come in. And what I would suggest is when you're looking for them, and like me and Joey has done shares, sometimes they just hunker down. But if these fish are suspended off the bottom end of your electronics, if you get it tuned in fairly decent, you're going to start to be able to see these fish. When you're looking for them, and you got your mouth on your electronics, got it pulled up, and pull your sonar up right beside it so you can see maps and you can see your sonar, and you'll be able to stay on a contour. Now, what I like to do is not, when I'm looking for them, I don't like to go up that contour. I like to go up and down that ledge, zigzagging, say from 50 foot of water up to 20, 50 foot of water up to 20. And as you going from that shallow water to that deep water, you're going to start to find out. All you got to do is when you run across some fish, just hit the spot, hit mark. When you go out there to 50 or 60 foot and turn around and come back, when you see them fish again, hit the mark button, and you're gonna find out them fish is holding a pattern at a certain depth. Just start to, and then you can go back and get on that contour of right where they was at. You won't see that if you just get at 30 something foot and just go up through there. But if you start zigzagging from the deep to the shallow and just working your way up the river, you're going to find out that these fish, what I've seen is when you find them, they're going to be pretty close. If they're staging at 35 foot, you can go up through there a mile and almost them fish are going to be at 35 foot. Now, that will change during the day as the day changes, as the sun comes up and things begin to move a little bit. But that is also a good way to start looking and trying to find some fish there. One more, Joe, we got to cover one more point.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to cover one real quick before I forget about Jerry Ishcomer. When you and I fished the last time, I believe, and I'll tell you every time I go now, I wish Jerry Ishcomer he's been watching. I don't know if he still is or not, but I'm gonna fault him at this for me making a habit of it now. And Stacy, I know you do too. Especially during, well, not so much wintertime, but now every time I go fishing, one of the first things I do is start looking around, especially if it's in the daytime, midday or so. If I start looking around and see that moon, oh no, my confidence just goes. So Jerry Ishcomer, I don't appreciate you telling me that because it holds true. I don't know what it is, maybe Doc or somebody that is a whole lot smarter than me. Why come when you're fishing, and I shouldn't say this because everybody that don't pay never mind to it, first thing they'll start doing when they go is looking up, and if it's noon or 1 o'clock or something, they'll start looking up. If you see that moon over there, you might as well go start your boat up and go to the truck because it's going to be a bad day.
I can't stand it. My confidence level just goes, phew.
Hey, some people may get on here in a minute and say that's their best fishing, and I hope to see that. If just somebody type it on there for me so I see it and I'll get it out of my head. So, all right,
you know Stacey. What I says? If I start seeing that moon, wherever I think the fish is not, that's where I'm going to start going to because they hadn't been where I think they at.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Hey,
I've never paid no attention to none of that anyway. You know, a lot of people pay attention to the barometer or the. If I'm going fishing, I'm going fishing. I don't care. Now, rain. I'm 45 years old now. If I can help it at all, I'm not fishing in the rain. I'm just not. So, but if I wake up and I'm going fishing, it don't matter if the water's falling, rising, current's going, it's whatever, the barometer, the barometric pressure, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm going fishing. So, but that moon has got the dampers on me. So just somebody get on there and fib and say that's the best time.
I gotta find this comment. You're gonna laugh. Look what Carl. Hold on. That was the wrong one. Hang on. This is what Carl Wells said. He thought you were looking for the birds.
No. Ishcomer called. I remember you and I fishing, and he said, look up. When you and I were fishing, and he said, look up in there, and you looked and seen that moon sitting there looking at us midday. And a lot of times when I go, if it's not a very, very good day, which all days fishing is good. Don't look at me that way because I love it. And I'm still going to go if I see it, but it does put a little. I tend to be on my Facebook a little bit more that day than paying attention to the rods. So
this was another question. Kenneth Lunsford asked this question a while back. What is the best depth and what is the best time to catch catfish besides whenever you can go? And I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna end this program, but we're gonna got one more giveaway we're fixing to do. For the last several years, you know, when I got to targeting big catfish was gonna be anywhere from November on into December, January is when I look for them, and have been pretty successful at catching that. I love to catch it at the first when the temperature starts to go down. I mean, the water temperature may be 80 degrees, but when it starts to cool off and gets down into the 60s and in the low 70s, is when I have really tried to target these things in the years past.
Halloween time or so.
I think it was. I think it was a. It was a. I think when that water temperature goes to dropping, it sends an alert, if I could call it that, to these fish. Wintertime's coming. Start feeding up, because I've always been successful at that time of the year. But until the last couple of years, that's where I focused on catching these big fish, and I focused on fishing. I like another key thing for me in the past was if it ain't 28 foot deep, I ain't fishing there. And I've always just been like that. I'm looking for something 28 foot or better. That's what I'm looking for. And this past year, the year 2019, I caught an 89 pounder. We numerous 70 pounders come in the boat. 103 pounder. Had one break off that I would guess was 80 plus. And these fish have come from anywhere from 70 foot of water to 10 foot of water.
That narrowed it down, didn't
it? And I'm like, you know, and I'll go back to this. These fish are moving. And I think the key thing is figuring out where they're at. And start just targeting them at different times of the year to try to get these big ones. And if I'm looking for a big fish, and me and Joe will be out fishing in March, I will go out fishing at night, and I anchor up on a spot, and we will literally sit there for 3 or 4 hours looking for that one rod to slam down. And I say it's like hunting old big bucks. We figure we think he's here, and we're just gonna try to wait him out.
Yeah, he's in there. That's right, Riker. Riker knows. My buddy Riker.
Let's do one more giveaway tonight, and
yes,
we're fixing to give away a reel. And give me another. We got a bunch of people in chat, so we're gonna up the number. Give me a number between 1 and 10 tonight. Maybe I can get through all these chats because we're gonna hit me a number between 1 and 10.
Let's do number 8.
Number 8.
While you're looking them up, I'm gonna. Yeah, there's Ishcomer there. He's still in there. He said it's like having a banana in the boat. No, and I had seen some people in there. Not in the moon. Not when it's nighttime. I'm all about nighttime fishing with the moon. I'm talking about midday, 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, noon or so. When you look up and you see that moon, that's what I'm talking about. I'm all about. I fish anytime. So I'm not so much against the moon. I'll holler at my buddy Ryan Clark and my little buddy Riker. He said, all you need is a coin on heads, Joey. We stop and fill the boat up when we go fishing. And my buddy Ryan that goes with me all the time, he's got a young boy that's, I've got him when we stop and filling the boat up. He's like a beagle hound and a brush pile on a rabbit looking for a coin on the ground and heads. It works every time. And Riker swore to me he wouldn't give our secret up, but I'm going to give it up tonight. When you're pumping your gas, look for a coin down there because most of the time you'll find one. If it's on heads, just throw it in your boat and you'll catch fish all day long. Riker proved it to me.
The winner of the reel tonight is Jeff Schock. JEFFSHOCK.
Well, look at there. He's a Owensboro boy. Yes, sir.
He's an Owensboro guy.
He's a good fellow.
Well, good deal. Jeff, just contact me. Send me a message. You can do it on SmackDown Catfishing, or just send it to me, Stacy Gasson, or I'll contact you either later tonight or something. Guys, we appreciate y'all so much being a part of this program.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you are what makes this program and is what's made it a success. Y'all just tuning in with us, and I'm hoping we can bring some information to the table that is going to be able to help you be a better catfisherman.
So
I
keep
want to
sending them
remind you
questions
that
in.
this weekend is a catfish conference. Remember that when you walk in the door, y'all begin to look for Doc. Tell him that the Blues Brothers have sent y'all their way. I want to end with this, Joey, tonight, if
Yes,
I
sir.
can. So don't y'all leave me. This is recorded in the book of Matthew, chapter 4, and verse 13. He says, "You are the salt of the earth. If the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, to be trodden under the foot of men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." Let me leave you with this. Be a positive influence. Be a light in a dark place. It's going to be hard for you to complain about the darkness if you're not willing to be a light. God bless y'all. May the favor of the Lord continually be upon your life. We'll be back here again next week, Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You got anything else, Joey?
God bless you and have a good week, and be a light in this dark world.
Amen. We'll see y'all later. God bless y'all.